So, words I never thought in my lifetime I would say. Donald Trump, 100%, absolutely deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. He does. He absolutely deserves it. Listen, the first thing I saw in the news this morning, when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is grab my phone and I scroll through Twitter. I see what people are tweeting about. The very first thing I saw was Donald Trump retweeting like 5 bajillion tweets about him being nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. And I made a fist pump in the air. I was like, yes! Because, first of all, like, my lefty friends or former friends are losing their minds today over this. And it is a thing of beauty to behold. I love it. And I hope he wins. I hope he wins so bad. I want to see their heads just explode. It would be amazing. But more importantly, Donald Trump actually deserves this. He does. Donald Trump is the first president in 40 years that has not gotten us into another war, into another armed conflict. He's negotiated a peace deal in the Middle East, and he's done a lot more stuff that we're going to talk about in this article. Donald Trump is the anti-war president. Donald Trump has negotiated peace deals that no one thought were possible. And yes, Donald Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. And let's talk about why. We're going to look at this article from Brian Cates, who's Draw and Strike on Twitter. I have to say, Brian is truly one of my favorites because he has taken time in the past with me to explain things to me about all the crap I got wrong. He broke down Obamagate for me so I actually understood what Obamagate was. He is just a brilliant writer. He's so valuable. If you're not reading his work, this is on uncovereddc.com. Please check him out because he is the best. Now let's see why Brian thinks that Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. On September 9th, a member of the Norwegian Parliament, Christian, name I'm not going to try to pronounce, nominated U.S. President Donald J. Trump for the 2021 Nobel Peace Prize. Such a nomination of this president will strike many as being absurd after more than 4 years of non-stop histrionic media coverage that paints Trump as an out-of-control warmongering buffoon in the pocket of Russian President Vladimir Putin. After the real estate billionaire won the 2016 election, there were loud pronouncements of forthcoming doom and gloom in the media. Donald Trump, with the nuclear codes, will be a disaster, we were all assured. The brash, thoughtless, and impulsive blowhard would instantly antagonize other world leaders with his swaggering alpha male act, making the world a far more dangerous place. Well, excuse me. Far from blowing the world up, Trump continues to solve seemingly intractable problems that stumped the Washington policy wonk class for years, if not decades. It appears the only thing Donald Trump has blown up in his first term as America's president was the illusion the foreign policy class of Washington knew what it was doing. The fact of the matter is, Trump turned out to be right, and the Washington, D.C. smart set was wrong. Let's take a quick walk down memory lane and compare the scorecards, shall we? And I have to say, listen, man, when Trump was elected, I absolutely thought we were going to end up in some stupid war. I really did. I was like, Trump's going to not be able to resist himself. And I particularly thought this, at the end of last year when I was still kind of vote blue no matter who, and I hadn't really woken up yet and seen what was really going on yet. I was like, Donald Trump's going to start some stupid war because that's going to mean he's going to get reelected because people like to reelect wartime presidents, blah, 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 blah. And I was wrong. I was wrong. I mean, the reality is that Donald Trump has actually done a fairly decent job. For as much fun as he gets made of in the press, that nonsense doesn't matter. And what always impresses me about Trump is his ability to kind of focus on things that actually matter. It really is uncanny. Listen, I have now had the experience of, the media running blatant hit pieces on me or people lying about me, but it's such a small scale. It's incredibly small and inconsequential in the grand scheme of things. But I share that because I simply can't imagine what it's like to be Donald Trump, to have this constantly 24/7 every single day, the media going after you every single day, twisting things and lying and purposefully gaslighting their readers, and he still is able to focus and accomplish these things. It's remarkable. It truly is. It is a feat to behold. Let's keep going. Obama tells Trump he'll be going to war with North Korea. The first big policy crisis that the newly sworn-in President Trump faced was North Korea. Super smooth Nobel Peace Prize winning Obama sadly informed the uncouth and boorish Trump that he was going to have to go to war with North Korea. Then, surprise, Trump successfully de-escalated the conflict between North and South Korea by establishing a direct dialogue with Kim Jong-un. The world was then treated to the amazing spectacles of a U.S. president setting foot inside North Korea. While Trump helped the two Koreas start peace talks, we spent over a year with the international foreign policy experts claiming that by legitimizing Kim and speaking to him directly, Trump was doing it all wrong. And I remember thinking, like, was this really a smart idea of Trump to open up this dialogue? But frankly, I was always kind of confused at how hard they were coming down on him over this, because if there was any progress to be made, it was only going to happen through dialogue. That's the only way you really can make actionable progress. And so maybe it didn't result in much. I mean, it seems as though the sister's probably taken over North Korea now, and she seems to be even more of a nightmare than Kim Jong-un was. But still, he tried, and I have to give him points for the progress that was made. Reigning in China. What's strange about the DC political class criticizing Trump for talking to Kim face-to-face is that those are the same foreign policy wonks who spent decades preaching ever-expanding engagement with the brutal CCP regime in China as super smart policy. Under former presidents like Clinton, the Bushes, and Obama, the United States not only established a dialogue with this evil and repressive regime in Beijing, we ended up joining ourselves at the hip to the CCP by moving vital national security industries to China. It took a worldwide pandemic originating in China for the folly of this kind of China policy to become evident, and now President Trump has the necessary decoupling from China already underway. And you know what Andrew Cuomo did yesterday? I believe it was yesterday. Did you guys see this crazy press conference where Andrew Cuomo blamed Trump for the outbreak of COVID in New York? And then he was like, it didn't come from China. It came from Europe. COVID came from Europe. It came to New York. It was the European virus. Trump calls it the China virus. It was the European virus. Like, why are these people covering for China? I just don't understand. Everyone knows this virus came from China. Everyone knows that China is absolutely responsible for the pandemic that we now find ourselves in, and Trump shut off travel from China way early on, a full month before Nancy Pelosi made any statement about it. So Trump had China's number from the beginning when everyone else was playing around and trying to placate them. Taking down ISIS. Obama also famously derided ISIS as the JV team, despite being repeatedly warned the terrorist organization was a very real threat. Obama did nothing, then watched as ISIS proceeded to unleash a bloody reign of terror, seizing control of parts of Iraq and Syria. When Trump became president, ISIS controlled territory larger than many U.S. states. Trump moved quickly to help our allies in the region take ISIS down, and by the end of 2018, the terrorist caliphate had been reduced to 1% of its former size. Trump then authorized the raid that killed ISIS's crucial leader, who was supposed to be irreplaceable, as the terror cult's belief was that he was the only one who would establish the Islamic State. Canceling the Iran deal. Obama was gifted with a Nobel Peace Prize early in his first term. It appeared to be based chiefly on expectations of what he would accomplish in the foreign policy arena. Those expectations were never met. And I think this is a point that is really worth emphasizing, because the Norwegian official who nominated Trump for this Nobel Peace Prize specifically said a couple things. One, he said he was not a Trump supporter. He was not a Trump supporter, but he had to acknowledge what Donald Trump had achieved. Number two, he pointed out that Barack Obama literally did nothing. He did nothing. Barack Obama was gifted the Nobel Peace Prize because of the promise that he brought, because of the speeches that he had made. He never followed through on that. I am absolutely behind, Barack Obama did not end up deserving that Nobel Peace Prize, and all the more reason for Trump to get it, because Trump has probably had to, like any other president that had done what Trump had done, this would be a no-brainer. It would have already been assumed that he was going to win the Nobel Peace Prize. Trump, it's funny, isn't it? Because people on the left, they talk about how women have to be better than everyone. They have to outperform everyone to get the same opportunities as the men do in organizations. And they're holding Trump to that exact same standard. Trump has had to outperform every other GD president that's ever gotten the Nobel Peace Prize to even be considered. How is that not hypocritical? Let's keep going. Obama's 8 years in office could be described as one long litany of foreign policy blunders, setbacks, and mistakes. From refusing to show even token support of the Green Revolution in Iran in 2009 to the Russian annexation of Crimea and the subsequent invasion of Ukraine. That really pissed me off, by the way. Like, my husband is literally from Ukraine. Like, it's not like, you know, like he moved here from Ukraine when he was 20. So that really pissed me off. To the rise of ISIS and his failure to enforce his own stated red line in Syria, to the scandal of Benghazi. It was Obama and not Trump who stumbled from one foreign policy blunder to the next. The crown jewel of Obama foreign policy efforts, of course, is the Iran deal. The Obama administration tirelessly sought this deal based on a firm belief that a Russian-backed Iranian nuclear hegemony over the Middle East was inevitable, and the best that could be hoped for was merely to delay the Iranian nuclear breakout by a few years. Trump loudly campaigned on scrapping the Iran deal should he win the presidency, and upon assuming office, he wasted little time in following through on that promise. As usual, the foreign policy think tank establishment, deeply entrenched in Washington, D.C., spent months patiently explaining what a blithering and stupid move this was on Trump's part. Those who invested heavily in the assumptions that the Russia-Iranian nuclear umbrella was the only possible future of the Middle East region are only now belatedly discovering just how wrong they were. There was a legitimate alternative, and Trump is creating it right before their eyes with the newly announced peace deal between Israel and the United Arab Emirates. There are already rumors that Saudi Arabia, Oman, Bahrain, and several other Arab states will be following the UAE in making such treaties. Listen, man, one of the reasons that Trump is successful at this, and you know, those of you who have been his supporters, you know this, it's because he came to the office not beholden to doing things the way they had been done before. This is why I argue that Trump has very literally created a third party. We had the two establishment parties, the Democrats and the Republicans, that are filled with establishment people who have been there for years and years and years and years and years, that have never been pushed, never pushed to do things differently, have always kind of done things the way they've always been done before. Donald Trump crashes in and says, no, we're going to do things differently. And the establishment is what's pushing back on him. And the establishment exists on the Democratic side. It resists on the Republican side. What Trump has done with this new right thing has created a functional third party that doesn't subscribe to either crazy establishment party and where they were going before Trump was elected. Let's keep going. The Kurdish genocide that didn't happen. Last year, when Trump announced he'd be removing several hundred U.S. troops from Syria since ISIS was now effectively defeated, we were all assured in the most strident tones that Trump was abandoning the Kurds by shifting those troops that would cause a genocide. Of course, no such genocide happened, and in July, a secret deal more than a year in the making was announced that will send billions in oil profits to the Kurdish autonomous region. Now, all people who spent months viciously slandering this president for abandoning key allies to genocide look as foolish as they deserve to. I remember this too. I remember when everyone was screaming about what Trump was doing in Syria to the Kurds. And what this is a lesson that sometimes you can achieve goals by going about it, by letting people go about doing things in ways that you never would have imagined that would work. There is always more than one way to accomplish a goal. And what I take from this whole affair is that people in Washington, the establishment in Washington, had very clear perspective about what they thought was the only way that this would possibly work. And in digging in their heels and sticking so much to that perspective, they lost sight of the fact that Trump can go around over here he can go around over here, he can try different things and ultimately net out at the same or even a better place. This is almost always true. You can almost always meet the same goal in different ways, but you have to be open to considering that those ways are viable options. Let's keep going. Moving the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem. The foreign policy experts appeared on network news shows where they pontificated that by moving the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem, Trump was making yet another impulsive mistake that would set back peace efforts in the region for decades, leaving aside the fact that the 3 previous U.S. presidents had all promised that they would make this exact move, and they found creative ways to renege on it. Not only did the embassy move not to stunt peace in the region, it appears to have directly led to the newly revealed Israel-UAE deal mentioned earlier. Taking out the world's #1 terrorist. When Trump ordered a drone strike that took out Iran's top terrorist, General Qasem Soleimani, the denunciations of Trump's foolish and incredibly dangerous action were swiftly delivered. Hysterical politicians and political pundits thundered that Trump would end up starting a war with Iran. And I gotta tell you, I actually was very much a fan of him taking out this guy. This guy deserved to be assassinated. I mean, the world is a better place for it. And Iran tried to burn down our damn embassy. Like, if you had looked at pictures of what they did to the U.S. Embassy, I think in Iraq, they had literally tried to burn it down. Of course there should have been a retaliation. And of course, if you can take out someone like this, you do it. This is a no-brainer. Well, of course, no war with Iran developed, and since Soleimani was essentially irreplaceable, having been the operational commander of all of Iran's proxy terror groups, the attacks on U.S. citizens and embassies in Iraq quickly ended. The Serbia-Kosovo deal. The Serbian conflict was long and especially brutal, and for over 20 years, things remained in a bitter stalemate until President Trump got involved. As former U.S. ambassador to Germany, Rich Grenell had noted, the mainstream media is dealing with the stunning announcement of the Trump-brokered Serbia-Kosovo economic deal by ignoring it. And if you didn't see Rich Grenell at that press conference, like laying into the media on the fact that they were completely ignoring this, you should absolutely look up that video. He is fabulous. He is, oh my God, that guy is so smart. I'm like just so impressed with him. Grenell had to write an op-ed to explain the content of this historic deal, since the mainstream media focused on everything but what the deal really was. The dog that didn't bark. So just to quickly sum up before going on, Trump threaded the North Korean needle, took down ISIS, solved the Syria-Turkey-Kurd Gordian knot, moved the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem, got the Israel-UAE, then Serb-Kosovo deal, took out the operational leader of Iran's proxy terrorist organization, scrapped the Iran deal, and began the much-needed decoupling from China, and he has accomplished all of this with the global elite class loudly screaming the entire time for him to stop. If you listen to people like John Bolton or General Mattis, Trump's foreign policy has been one unmitigated disaster after another, and it's nothing but a desperate gaslighting attempt by the political class that sees its own power and influence slipping away the more Trump fixes world crises and problems they were impotent to fix themselves. And this is important. I talked about this in a video the other day where when something feels like it's dying, it starts to fight with every last breath it can. It's called the Extinction Burst, right? So if something feels like it's dying, it is going to go out kicking and screaming. I really believe that this is what is happening with the establishment, and this is why Trump desperately we need to give Trump another 4-year, guys. I'm not messing around. Like, I understand completely if you do not like everything that Donald Trump stands for. I completely get it, man. He is not always my favorite person, but the more I have learned about this sort of thing, the more I really come to respect and admire what he's trying to do in the face of overwhelming opposition. And if he was able to get this much done in the time he has had there already, with the media constantly attacking him 24/7, every flippin' day, the establishment attacking him, not wanting to let this happen, like, can you imagine what he can do with 4 more years now that he's learned, now that he's figured it out? Listen, man, Trump entered office not knowing how to be president. Dude had never held a political office in his life. Of course there was going to be a learning curve, but I really feel like, especially in the last year or so, maybe this is just that I've been paying attention, but I think that Trump has really kind of figured it out. I think he's good. I think he understands what he needs to do, and he's calmed down. If you look at Trump's Twitter today, it does not bear a whole heck of a lot of resemblance to what his Twitter was 4 years ago. He has really calmed down, and dare I say, he is finally acting presidential. The only way Trump has been a disaster at foreign policy narrative can work the only way that Trump has been a disaster at foreign policy narrative can work is if the mainstream media just passes over and ignores his accomplishments, which is precisely what they're trying to do, but it's getting harder and harder to keep up. The last gaslighting stand of the global elite, as it becomes increasingly apparent that the supposedly clueless and boorish Trump is literally fixing the seemingly intractable foreign policy problems the DC elite class were powerless to solve, the more desperate the elite class seems to remove him from office. See? The Extinction Burst. You must understand, they know what happens to them if Donald J. Trump gets another 4 years in the White House. So this is their only chance to take him down. The futile Trump secretly thinks foreign soldiers are suckers and losers story in The Atlantic is nothing more than a desperate gaslighting smear coming from an incompetent and increasingly irrelevant DC elite class trying to get Joe Biden out of the White House. And by the way, even John Bolton came out and said that story was nonsense. They cannot stop Trump. If they could, they would have by now, and I strongly suspect Trump has more aces up his sleeve to play before November 3rd gets here. None of the details of the Kurdish oil deal, the Israel-UAE deal, or the Serbia-Kosovo deal leaked in advance, which you have to admit is pretty dang impressive. The president very well could roll out another unexpected deal in the next 50 days. I wouldn't bet against him. The DC elite class almost did, and look where they are now. This is a great article by Brian. I'll link it in the description below. Please, share this article out, guys. This is stuff that people need to hear because this is good. When presidents or anyone in a position of power do good things, regardless of if they're in your political tribe or not, we should say, yes, peace in the Middle East is, spoiler alert, a good thing. We should want that. We should want there to be peace deals. We should want not to go into war. We should be happy that Trump has not gotten us into any armed conflict. Listen, man, the media constantly tries to play Trump as being stupid or portray him as being stupid. He's not stupid. There is no universe in which he's stupid. Now, is he smart at everything? No, but no one is. There is no one in the world that is a genius at absolutely every possible thing. Donald Trump has his very own brand of genius, and it's working on a worldwide scale. He's accomplished things that people thought were impossible. He should get some credit for that. That's all I'm saying. I hope he wins. Trump, I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for you. It will be so amazing if he gets the Peace Prize. I would be so happy. Doing a double fist pump in the air when he gets the Peace Prize as opposed to one. Alright guys, that's what I've got for this video. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing to my channel, turning on notifications, giving it a thumbs up, leaving a comment, all that good stuff, and I'll see you soon.